Welcome to another episode of SportsVibe. I'm Arnav Sarkar here with Jitesh Ramakrishnan. We're 6 days away from the Super Bowl 58 between the Chiefs and the 49ers. Excitement's building up. Today's a media day. We're going to have NFL awards. So, great time in the sports year. Big game coming up. We already kind of previewed it a little bit, recap the conference champions in the last episode. This week, we're going to take it a step further. We're going to look at each roster position by position, try to figure out which team's better, and then make our game predictions. So second week of Super Bowl previewing, the excitement builds up, and it's always a fun time in sports. But I'm excited for the big game. I mean, it should be a good one. My thoughts haven't really changed much over the past week, I guess. But I guess I'll get into that later on as to who I think is gonna win. But I mean, both these teams, they kind of, like I said last week, they both kind of had adversity in different ways. Like the Chiefs, in the regular season, they really struggled. They had all sorts of penalties on their offensive line, holding calls, receiver drops. I mean, they really had to kind of figure it out, kind of go back towards, like they had to kind of rely more on their run game, find different receivers. Their defense really stepped up, which was kind of something unusual for the Mahomes era, where the defense was like kind of the focal point even more in the offense. And then in the playoffs, they really turned it up. They probably surprised a lot of people, but, reaffirming their dominance there against the Bills and the Ravens, both away games, and Mahomes' first ever 2 road games with the Chiefs, so in the playoffs. So I thought that was pretty cool that they did that. Obviously, like kind of unexpected. We talked a lot about the Baltimore shortcomings and all, but I mean the Chiefs, really did impress, and with their defense and all, stepped up big. Travis Kelce, I mean, Pacheco's been great. Rasheed Rice, very reliable. And then on the other hand, you got the 49ers. They kind of rolled through the regular season, except for, they had a 3-game losing skid. Other than that, I mean, they put a really talented roster around, Brock Purdy. Obviously, players are, McCaffrey, and we're going to get into all of that. And then, of course, their defense is loaded, especially defensive line. But in the playoffs, they were the ones who kind of had to fight through adversity. So, I mean, they, battling back against Green Bay, who very well could have, probably beaten them there. And then the second round in the conference championship game, down to Detroit, 24-7 to halftime. At halftime, had to come back. Needed just about everything to go right and for everything to go wrong for the Lions. But at the end of the day, they got it done, which could help them in the Super Bowl because, they might need a comeback because, the Chiefs might get ahead, so I mean it's good if the Lions, I mean if the Niners can continue their pedigree. It's not always something they've had, I guess, when they're like the Shanahan era and all of that kind of stuff. But so I mean 2 different teams, 2 different stories. I think more adversity than either had faced in years past. So although the Chiefs and Niners are in the Super Bowl again, probably not your usual Chiefs team. For the 49ers, their first Super Bowl appearance in since they played the Chiefs in 2020, a couple NFC championship losses. The Chiefs won it last year, but this year's team really, I think, went through quite a lot to make it back. A very different team. And I mean, I think that's a good backdrop to this whole roster discussion. I think that kind of sets up, the big game well. A little bit of a, teaser trailer there. But I mean, I guess, do you have any thoughts on the Super Bowl before we I guess dive into to the rosters?
Let's just go for it.
All right.
You
Yeah, why
kind of
not?
summed up you
Okay,
kind of
so
summed up
yeah.
everything, so might as well just
Yeah,
jump in.
I think I did. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I did
All right.
find it pretty interesting about all of that kind of stuff. How the 2 teams are different, similar, how they both, overcame some adversity, even though, they might be the same teams that have been good year in, year out. This year, I feel like was a little bit different for both of them, and they had to both overcome different things to make it back to the big spotlight. So, with that being said, yeah, let's get into the rosters. Obviously, starting with quarterback, I don't think there's any question there. We got Patrick Mahomes, who's might be one of the best quarterbacks of all time. Um,
Oh,
you
give
know,
me a break about that.
okay.
He's
Well,
no, no, come on.
obviously it's Tom
People,
Brady.
listen. People are already acting like he's already one of the goats. Like, get this crap out of your head. Like, he still has a way to work up to the. I mean, he has potential to be
Yeah,
one of them,
yeah,
yes,
he has 2
but
rings. Yeah, mhm.
no, he is not in that echelon yet. I mean, like people are acting like he's already up there. He hasn't passed Montana yet. He hasn't even passed Peyton yet. Like right now, like somewhere around
Yeah,
5
yeah,
is probably a reasonable spot. But get that out of your
that's
head for
fair.
now. That's something to talk
Okay.
about. That's something to talk about a lot later for
After
now.
his career, maybe. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's true. Accomplished accolades-wise, like, not quite there yet, 2 Super Bowls, I think 2 MVPs, but, like, not nearly as much as, some of the better quarterbacks, especially, Tom Brady. I think skill set wise, he might be the best we've ever seen. But like, I mean, between everything, scrambling, the running, of course the deep passing, the
Here's the
accuracy,
thing.
the winning, like the whole 9 yards. You know what I mean?
Here's it. Well, apparently not 10 in your case, but here's the thing. When it comes to all what you said before, there have been people that have done this before, and of course Tarkenton was the first to revolutionize the scrambling. But it's like, of course, like he inspired scramblers still 50, 60 years later. Like we're seeing like half the quarterbacks these days, probably a lot more, are pretty
Yeah.
damn good scramblers. Like, if you
Right.
look at this league 10, 15 years ago, hardly anyone was scrambling as such a Michael Vick at quarterback. Now at least
Mhm.
half the quarterbacks are doing it. So, like, there's that influence from the past, which is surprising, especially since today the game
Yeah.
seems to evolve on a daily basis. But
Yeah.
going back to the position, listen, Brock Purdy's got a lot of great weapons. Patrick Mahomes has had,
No doubt. Okay.
let's see, outside of Travis Kelsey as a safety blanket, for lack of a better term, he's had fairly crappy weapons this season. And so
Yeah.
far,
I
like,
agree.
so I mean, of course, like you haven't seen him at his best because of the crap he's had to work with, such like I mean, like he still has very solid options, of course, like Pacheco, and then Rice. Like those are like
Yeah.
asides from Kelsey, those are his two most reliable go-tos. But we've seen this
Hmm.
recently now over the past couple of weeks that he's he, I mean, you could definitely see he has a lot more trust in MVS in this moment than he did like in the regular season. Like it's quite apparent. So like it's coming back towards that. But Brock Purdy, I mean, come on, he's got Kittle, he's got Devo, he's got Ayuk, he's got some guy named CMC. He's also pretty good. So like you know, if we're to like strip away like pretty much all the talent and like just leave the quarterbacks to work with the Panthers offense, it would be better. I'd still put it at Mahomes, but I don't think I don't know how well these other quarterbacks would survive in the Panthers offense right now. But like given the current times, Mahomes is a better quarterback. But I don't believe Brock Purdy's all that far behind.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good way to put it. I mean, obviously, Mahomes is Mahomes. Very few quarterbacks can kind of measure up to that. Even come close. I mean, but that being said, Brock Purdy, I mean, he's had a great season. I mean, outside of, maybe the game against the Ravens where he had 4 picks, he's played very good. Like, people call him a game manager at a high level. I mean,
Cam
I
Newton
think he
specifically.
definitely yeah, yeah. I mean, I think he kind of is, but he's proven to be more than that too. Like,
Listen,
he's the way
listen.
he
Here's the
scrambles
thing.
as well, the way he can use his weapons
Here's the thing.
effectively. I mean, those comebacks
Listen.
in the playoffs, he's really proved to be,
Here's the thing.
as good as anyone.
Game manager or not, I don't care if I'm a game manager or I don't give a damn if I'm a janitor. If I can help you win the game, I don't care. That's all that matters.
Exactly, that's the most important. It's the most important thing, and it's a really great story. I mean, coming from Mister like irrelevant to leading the Niners to the Super Bowl, and yeah, I'm sure, of course, he has a lot of talent around him, but he still played good. Someone has to get the ball to these guys. I mean, he's done that, so I mean, he still deserves some credit. I mean, that being said, I mean, against Mahomes, man, like Mahomes definitely has the advantage, but Purdy's definitely no, he's no slouch. Like he's not like some scrub or anything. Like he's a very capable. He's a good quarterback. He's just not like that on the elite level. That's I guess how I'd probably describe it.
So you'd
All
put him
right.
in the
Well,
field of
yeah, I
very
guess
good but not great.
pretty much. Yeah, I would say so.
All right, fair enough. All right, let's move on to running back then. To me, CMC.
All right.
I mean, listen, Pacheco high steps to me in the passing game because he has very good yards after catch, but CMC is a
Mm,
more dominant. CMC is a more dominant rusher. Like in terms of pure rushing, CMC wins, but in terms
yeah.
of pass catching,
Yeah.
I give it to Pacheco.
Yeah, Pacheco can definitely catch passes, off the backfield. He's a very physical runner, hard to bring down. The way the way he high steps, so he could kind of break through contact, kind of push for those extra yards, and also very quick. But yeah, I mean, at the same time, against compared to McCaffrey, I mean, McCaffrey's like, one of the best. Probably, I would say like the best running back in the NFL. I mean, so but yeah, I guess if you put pass catching in it, although McCaffrey can also catch as
No,
well,
no,
but
McCaffrey's. No, I'm saying like pass catching. I give it to Pacheco for a couple of reasons. Because one, CMC is more reliable on the ground than he is on the pass catching, and two,
mm,
I mean, come on, Brock Purdy has George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, Debo Samuel
that's
to throw to.
yeah,
Like, I mean,
I agree.
CMC would probably be like a check down option or a short five yard route on a third down option.
Right, right,
Like,
yeah. Yeah,
whereas
he's not
Pacheco,
catching
he
anything
whereas
like
whereas Pacheco's pass catching is utilized like across the field. It's not just as a third down back option. Like Pacheco's a lot more versatile when it comes to catching passes, but CMC is a far more dominant bull steaming runner. So that's why I'm like trying to split
yeah.
split that off.
I agree. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, I mean, Pacheco could certainly. Yeah, I feel like he's more utilized in the passing game. Like he can be used to even, to get the ball to pick up, try to pick up some yards, get a first down, even throw across the field. McCaffrey's kind of more like, maybe you check it down to him. Like, yeah, McCaffrey is like the better running back. Although I mean, Pacheco's been pretty solid for the Chiefs too. But I mean, he's played at like pretty much an MVP level.
And speaking
Yeah,
of
that
running
being said, I
backs,
mean,
speaking
mhm.
speaking of running backs, it's possible McKinnon can come back from his injury and be activated for the Super Bowl. It
Yeah,
is possible.
I did see that too. Yeah, and I've liked McKinnon, like kind of being kind of like the complement to like Pacheco. Like I feel like he's also a very solid back, and I mean Hilarious played better, lately as kind of in the replacement of McKinnon. So I mean they have a good running back room. Obviously, Pacheco's going to get the lion's share of the carries. He's really taken even a big step up from last year. Expect to see him in the end zone at least once. Expect to see him get the ball on third down. But I mean, these other backs too. I mean, you mix in McKinnon, you mix in, if McKinnon gets back, which I think he might, and even
CEH.
Edwards Hilaire, you bring him in. Yeah, CEH exactly. Bring him in. He can get you, some first downs. He could bring you some yardage as well. So I mean, and then I guess on the Niners side of things, obviously you got McCaffrey, who's probably one of the best, not the best in the game. I mean, I guess I guess since the Chiefs don't have a fullback, I'd also include Juszczyk like in the running game, and he can also catch passes as we mentioned last week. So I mean, that's a great option, and he could provide an extra burst in the backfield as well. So
Yeah.
I mean, I
And
guess long story short, like
likewise, Elijah Mitchell can also do the same thing with the 49ers.
that's true. Yeah, yeah, that's very true. I mean, I guess long story short, I mean the Chiefs running back room is good, especially with Checo leading it, and some other good options there, especially McKinnon comes back, Hilaire. But I mean, I still like it's still not really a match for like the Niners because there's only like one McCaffrey, and then plus use check on top of that. Like I feel like, and like you mentioned, like Elijah Mitchell, even Debo
Yeah.
Samuel could
And
like
even
run like a
and
lot of those
even
jet sweeps too.
use check is used a lot in the passing game. But we've seen over the
He
past
is,
couple of
yeah.
years that over the past couple of years that Debo's like hybrid role has really evolved. Like a couple of years ago, he was being used as like half wide receiver, half running back. Now we see a lot more on the wide receivers end, and that's because like Debo kind
Right,
of
right. Yeah.
wanted that adjustment. But if there's a need and a pinch, maybe that could potentially be a 2 point conversion play. I don't know.
Potentially, yeah, because he's got that kind of speed and and the like. But yeah. So I have so the Chiefs with quarterback and the running back goes to the Niners. I guess going on to a wide receiver. I kind of feel like this one's kind of like a no-brainer. I mean, I think you have to go Niners here. I mean, especially the way with the
I mean,
Chiefs
but
receiving
I mean,
struggle here.
here's the thing. Tight end goes to the Niners, no question, because that's George Kittle. But
Mm,
because
yeah, but
Travis Kelsey is a glorified
that's
wide
not
receiver, so you put Kelsey in that wide receiving room, and then it
okay.
becomes a little bit more of a
Interesting.
topic.
Yeah, I guess, but I was thinking like we just go like just receivers, and then we just put Kelsey in like tight end, confirm Kittle on the Chiefs if we get
that's
that.
precisely what Travis is, just a receiver.
Yeah, I mean, he hardly blocks. That's true. I mean, he's
No,
like
he doesn't
the
block.
leading
He doesn't.
receiving option on the team, and
Listen,
I mean,
Tom Brady has thrown more blocks than Travis Kelsey has his entire career. So
yeah.
Travis Kelsey by default is not a tight end.
All right.
He's a
If you want to
receiver.
put it that way, then I guess then if we have Kelsey plus Rasheed Rice plus MVS,
MVS,
who's been more reliable, plus
maybe a healthy Tony.
yeah, I mean, like he broke a big Super Bowl punt return and he scored a touchdown. So it's just like you don't getting from him. You can get that, or you can have him drop the football. Like I like on the biggest play of the game, a wild card, and that's
Now the
even if
question is,
he plays.
the question
Justin
is, will he
Watson, that's
be?
another option.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Justin Watson. Question is, will Kadarius Tony be activated off the injury report? He wasn't activated last week.
That's a good question. Yeah, I think I saw that he's practicing or something like that, or he's off the. I think I saw that he's off the IR, but yeah, I'm pretty sure I did see that. So yeah, yeah, I believe he is off the injury report. So I mean, I think he's gonna be back. Not 100% sure yet, but yeah, it says
Well,
Tony is off the injury report and practicing entering Friday. So that's a good sign that he's probably gonna be able to make it. But and people are joking that that's a big blow for the Chiefs and all, and I mean, I don't know. I mean, it could be, it couldn't be. It's like you never know with him, right? Like it's like he could have a big game, or he can he can have a big game for the
well,
wrong reason.
well,
But I
for,
hope he
well,
doesn't do
Forrest Gump.
that for their.
Well, Forrest Gump said it best. Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get, and that's precisely what applies to Kadarius Tony. You could get 3 touchdowns and 187 yards, or you could get one catch for -6 yards and a fumble. It just works that way
Right.
with Kadarius
Could
Tony.
yeah, could even be the game losing one. But anyway, yeah, but I mean Tony plus Rasheed Rice plus Kelsey plus MVS plus Justin Watson. I mean that's not a bad core, honestly. Like they have options
It's
and
solid.
like they have some consistent
It's
ones
solid.
too. Now with Rice and Kelsey, and you know what I mean. So I mean it
No,
is very solid.
and
Yeah, I mean they have
that's
some
who
guys
MV
to go to.
that's who MVS has
And
become
MVS
a lot.
exactly
He's become a
more
lot more reliable
reliable.
option. No, he's been a lot more of a reliable option. Like we've seen Mahomes trust him against the Bills, and apparently Mahomes trusted him with the game-winning catch against the Ravens. So
That was a big
it's safe
one.
to
Yeah.
say
Hmm.
that aside from Travis Kelsey being the obvious wide receiver one, uh, MVS could very well
Right.
be. MVS and Rasheed Rice are almost both
Yeah.
wide receiver twos.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say so. And in this case, yeah. Yeah, I feel like Rasheed Rice has been way more consistent. They're probably gonna, trust him. I feel like every time like they needed someone to trust that isn't like Kelsey or Pacheco, like in the receiving game, like it's been Rasheed Rice, and then lately MVS has also made some big plays, which is good to see. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I feel good about I guess Rasheed ran all of that. Like, I'm so glad that he like really stepped up because that receiving core was like in hell. Like,
Yeah,
but I mean also
kind
Justin Watson certainly not a bad option either. But I mean, but
kind of makes you
yeah, but
wonder
now I
what.
mean they got
Yeah,
you know,
it kind of makes you wonder what would
you know.
happen if this team still had Tyreek Hill on it, but he decided he wanted
Oh
the
man.
other
Yeah.
sceneries.
Right. And yeah, and then he came back with weapons and scored a touchdown, but almost had like 2,000 yards, right, this season. But I mean the playoffs
Almost.
they fell short, obviously. So almost. I mean, pretty solid season. But yeah, it's
Well,
quite a interesting
this
one.
could potentially this
17.99
could
exact.
this could potentially be his second Super Bowl championship he's missed out on. If ever since he got traded away after they lost the AFC Championship game against the Bengals.
Right, because last year, yeah, exactly. Yeah, so they've been able to figure it out. Oh yeah, by the way, yeah, also McCall Hardman's on. Is he injured? Like I forgot, like what happened with
Oh,
him.
I completely forgot Hardman was on the team.
Yeah, like I didn't even remember him doing anything much. Then
Well,
I
he
guess
did
if you
give the
really
Bills.
want to, yeah.
He did give the Bills that touchback.
Oh, the touchback, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened to him, but I don't see him here. But I mean, if you want to really include everyone, then you have backup tight end Al Gray, you have Richie James, who didn't even really do anything, but that's okay. I guess
That
for
sounds
another
like a
former
lot of
Giant of the
Giants.
Chiefs.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of Giants wide receivers who joined the Chiefs. Didn't really do anything.
Yeah, well, he had what I guess he had two punt returns for 18 yards. And then, yeah, that is weird. Like the two wide receivers for the Giants. Well, I mean, Tony, I guess, does stuff, but sometimes it's the wrong stuff. And then Richie James hasn't really been biggest impact player. But yeah, I mean, all in all, like this is a good core. I guess to compare it to the Niners, which I feel like we have yet to do.
Let's see, Debo,
I mean, we have
Ayuk.
Debo, Juwan
I mean,
Jennings.
I mean, really, you could just end the conversation at Debo and Ayuk. You kind of can.
Yeah,
So
that's all you really need to kind of, you have your big makers, they can like the way, he had the big catch against the Lions off the helmet. I mean, he's like become
yeah,
a great receiver. Debo's of course, one of one,
and I, di-
so I mean like
and I didn't know
one of the
this.
best.
Apparently,
And
I didn't know this. Chris Conley, the former Chief, is on the Niners. He's apparently like third on the depth chart on
yeah, it's
the
interesting.
right side of the wide receivers.
Interesting.
So
Yeah. That's an interesting piece. And then I mean Juwan Jennings, I don't know. I guess we're not going to include like the running backs in this, but like, because we already talked about that. But yeah, I mean, I still feel like it goes to the 49ers, although like the Chiefs' situation's a lot better than people thought it would be, I guess. Like, like they've kind of figured out what to do now. Like they know in the receiving game, they know they have Kelsey, Rice, MVS stepping up. Like they the problems that they've that have been plaguing them like all season, which is good. It's as good as like the Niners, who have like one of the best playmaking groups in the NFL. I don't think so. So
I
a
mean,
little advantage. Then I
there's a
guess we're including
there's a
Kelsey, right? So
well
like that kind of
yeah, but
complicates things a little.
there's a reason the San Francisco 49ers had four 1,000-yard players on their team. There's a reason for that. It's because they know how to
Yeah.
balance the ball. They know how to disperse it to the offense. They know how to manage situations. They know how to feed to the right guy at the right moment. So I mean, whereas where it's like even if you're able to limit Travis Kelsey, because you're not going to stop him. Even if you're able to limit him, like
Right.
throw him off his game, give him a few body checks, like be old, play old school football, be physical, like throw him off his game even with one or two, even with a couple drops or a couple missed targets. It could throw off the offense of the Chiefs. It could throw off the rhythm of the Chiefs offense. Whereas, you know, let's just say you're shutting down George Kittle. Okay, congratulations. There's still Debo, there's still Ayuk, there's still Jawan Jennings, there's still CMC. It's going to be. I'm not
Yeah.
saying
Good
it's
luck. Yeah.
impossible. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's going to be tough.
Right. Yes. Yeah. So many places to go with the football, which makes them dangerous. I mean, yeah, you have to worry about Debo and Ayuk and McCann Kittle and use check maybe, and you know what I mean. It's just like so many different options that they have. So then on third down they might bring in Juwan Jennings, and he has a big catch, like you've seen that a few times. So I mean, yeah, I mean it's quite the team that they've got. Definitely one of the best. I think the best like playmaking group in the NFL if you include all of those guys. For that reason, I definitely go 49ers because they have so many options. But in terms of receivers, like I guess if you even so, I guess you're saying even if we include Kelsey in the receiving group, which I don't know about that. Well, but I mean, we'll just do it for this.
I'm tempted to do a
Okay,
50-50 split on that one.
50-50 split. I guess with Kelsey, it's kind of like because that pretty much makes up for the gap that the Chiefs have. Like, you know what I mean? That kind of makes up for, the perceived weaknesses on the Chiefs offense. Because if you include Kelsey, the number one receiver, then they're pretty much as the 49ers, like you're saying, right?
Yeah,
Like just about. So,
like without question, the
but
49ers win the tight end battle.
yeah, well, I mean, now that we moved Kelsey away from it, then like who else is even like a tight end?
Well,
Like Blake Bell? You know what I mean? Like,
Noah Gray, yeah, but still, Travis Kelsey is
oh,
not
great.
a real tight end. That's not a question. He is not a real tight end. He's just
Yeah,
a
but
glorified
for
wide
this
receiver.
exercise, I'd rather just go tight end. So,
Okay,
well, I
fine.
mean, so we
Even
could
with
just,
this fine, fine. If I have your little narrative, even with this exercise, George Kittle still runs circles around him.
I don't know. I disagree. I mean, I think Kelsey's like the best, but I mean, Kittle's probably the second best in the league, so it isn't like that, Or well, I don't even know. I mean, this year I feel like it hasn't been quite the same, but usually in most years he is still pretty solid. But I mean, that might also be because the Niners have so many places to go with the ball that they don't like rely on him like compared to the Lions, like to Laporta like pretty often. I feel like compared to, you know what I mean? I don't know. So and I guess we go Niners for receiver, and then tight ends also. Like, I mean, I don't know. What do you think? Should we like put you
I
give
give
the
Niners
advantage to
both.
the Chiefs?
I give
Niners
Niners both. You
both.
can do a
Okay.
50-50 split on tight end if you want to. But regardless, I
All
still
right.
take the Niners on that.
I could see a split. I could see a split. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
And
So then I guess so far.
let's talk
Yeah.
about let's talk about arguably the most important guys, the five men up front.
The O. Yeah. See,
I
this
mean,
is what sometimes gets forgotten.
no, left tackle. Well, I mean, come on, left tackle. This is a joke. No question, Trent Williams, arguably the best left tackle in the
Oh
league.
yeah.
He's way better than Donovan Smith. Aaron
Oh,
Banks
no
and Joe
kidding.
Tooney. Aaron Banks and Joe Tooney, without a doubt, I give the edge to Joe Tooney. I've seen him in Foxborough for years. He's without a doubt one of the most dependable guys on the offensive line. Arguably one of the most dependable guys in football. And of course, last week he missed the AFC Championship game, but he almost never misses games, almost never misses snaps. There's a reason why in
Right.
New England he had the reputation of being called the Iron Man. It's because he's extremely durable and is willing to play through anything. So left guard, without a question, I give it to Joe Tooney. As for the centers, Creed Humphrey, very good center. Jake Brendel, I've seen Jake Brendel collapse a little like, I wouldn't say collapse, but it's like he sinks in as soon as the snap is issued, and then usually deviates to one side, exposing a weakness. So Creed Humphrey seems a little more disciplined to me as a center, so I give the edge to center for the Chiefs. Um,
Okay.
excuse me. Right guard Spencer Burford for the 49ers, and Trey Smith. I'd call it I'd call a split on this one. And then for right tackle, Colton McKivitz, I think is his name, McKivitz, and Jawan Taylor. Without a doubt, I give this to the 49ers because Jawan Taylor
Oh
pretty
yeah.
much he's false starting
He's
on
like
every single damn play.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I
Jawan
know.
Taylor's
I can't believe
Jawan
was
Jawan
penalized
Taylor's
on right.
practically, yeah. I mean, he's practically a human turnstile. So I guess let's see, what is that? So left tackle, I gave the edge to 49ers. Right, let me signal this. Left tackles was the Niners. Left guard was the Chiefs. Center I gave to the Chiefs. Right guard I called a split, and then right tackle I give. Oh well, I guess technically that's a split on the offensive line.
Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah, because we're 2-2 in a split. So yeah, that makes the
Yeah,
offensive line a tie, which is interesting because it's like different at every single position too. So
yeah. But listen,
like yeah,
it's important to acknowledge the guys up front because they're the ones who are the true catalyst of the offense, especially Trent Williams.
that's true. Oh yeah, definitely. That protection. It's yeah, like if the protection isn't good, then you can have all those receivers we just talked about. And the ball won't be going anywhere. Or like look what happened with the Chiefs against the Buccaneers like a few years ago. Mahomes, as great as he was buying time, he couldn't
And
even he couldn't
and
get the pass.
Donovan Smith was on this. Donovan Smith was on the other side. He he was on the side of the Buccaneers, of course, if you remember that. But yeah, so I guess in regards to that, so let's see. So I guess that pretty much takes care of the offense. Let's see. So yeah, I guess maybe special teams can be tackled afterwards, but I guess focusing on defense. Um,
All right, yeah,
wait,
let's go into
Arnav,
the
yeah.
Mhm.
So yep. So you froze for a second. I don't know if you noticed or
Yeah, I
was
kinda
able to
missed
hear anything.
the last part of that after, like, I mentioned the Chiefs and the Bucks, or
Yep.
the Chiefs, like, struggling because of the offensive line, how important that is. Also, the running game, it opens up lanes, like, like, none of that would even be able to happen without the big guys up front either, so, like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Very
So
important, for sure.
I
Yeah.
guess we can move on to defense. Maybe we can even talk a bit of special teams.
Sure, yeah,
Uh,
why not?
yeah.
Yeah, let's do
All right.
this.
So
So I wanna see how this all and tallies up at the end,
yeah.
but,
All right.
yeah.
Defense. Now we're getting to the real.
Oh, man, this is
Now
gonna be good.
we could argue that this is the real meat of the. We can argue that this is both the real meat of the 49ers and the Chiefs.
Yeah,
This
yep.
is where things are going to get real interesting. Let's start with
Mhm.
the defense. Let's start with the left defensive end. Chase Young versus George Karlaftis. Karlaftis. Karlaftis
Karlaftis is
is
good too, though,
no.
man.
He stepped up. He stepped
Oh,
up
yeah.
big time. But come on,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Chase Young.
Yeah, I know.
I
It's
mean,
one of the
let's
best in the
listen.
game.
No disrespect to Karlaftis. He's been balling over the playoffs, but it's
Right.
Chase freaking Young.
Yeah.
And
Well,
come on, I gotta give the edge to Chase Young.
yeah, no,
And then
I agree with that. Yeah.
Eric Armstead versus Derek Nadi. Hmm. I
It's
mean,
gonna be
Armstead has been a beast, but
that's been pretty
Nadi has been the anchor for no, he has that's the other DT, Chris Jones. But Nadi's been a solid presence right there at DT, but still, I think I'd have to give it to Armstead. And then let's see,
good. Yeah,
Javon
well, yeah.
Javon Hargrave, and of course behind Javon Hargrave, there's another Javon Kinlaw. So that's great.
Right.
That's great depth there at the right defensive tackle. And then there's Chris Jones. Now, if we're talking pure starter to starter, Hargrave versus Jones, that's at least a split. Maybe
Yeah,
I'd give this no. Maybe I'd give the slight advantage to Chris Jones.
right. I mean, yeah, it's Chris
But
Jones, yeah.
if we're combining both Kinlaws, might have to give the edge to the 49ers, but since I'm going here position by position, not depth by depth, I think I'd give that to Chris Jones, unfortunately.
Yeah, on right tackle. Yeah, I mean, I would say,
See,
yeah, as good
and
as
then
Hargrave has been, yeah, I'd say Chris Jones is definitely
and then
better.
right defensive end, I mean Nick Bosa, and then behind him is Randy Gregory. Now, of course, the Chiefs have a bit of a loss of right defensive end because Charles Omenihu tore his
Mm,
ACL in the Baltimore game,
right.
so they lost their number one defensive end. So
Yeah,
without a question,
that's Niners, yeah, that's the
yeah,
Niners.
without a question at the right defensive end to Niners. So what is that? A split? Let me see. Lefty E I gave to the Niners. Left DT I gave to the Niners. I think right DT I gave to the Chiefs. No, all right. So Niners win the defensive line battle.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right, right? I see.
Yeah, it's 3 I'm writing all this down, so yeah, it's 3,
Oh, you're telling me
3
this. Oh, damn!
yeah, I
Look
should
at
have
you.
probably told you this earlier, but, yeah. Yeah, anyway, the Niners
Well,
have left
that would have been
defensive
nice to
end
know.
as well,
Okay.
right and then right defensive tackle are giving, Chris Jones to the Chiefs, and then right defensive end, also Niners, so that's 3-1 on the defensive line. Both units are
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
solid. Yeah.
I don't want to call a split on. I don't want to call a split on the right defensive tackle. I think I'll give that to Chris Jones over Hargrave. Like
Yeah,
it's very hard,
it is
but
hard.
I think I would give the advantage to Jones.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Jones is Chris Jones, so I mean, yeah. Let's see, he
Yeah.
has 10.5
All right.
sacks. I mean, Hargrave was a nice addition from the Eagles, though. Like I've got to say, but I mean, to the Niners. But I mean, yeah, I feel like Chris Jones is Yeah, I
I
feel
mean,
like Chris Jones has the advantage
I mean
there.
the Niners. If you remember correctly, the Niners 4 years ago they basically traded away their number one DT, DeForest Buckner, to the Colts for their first
Right.
round pick, and I believe they used that first round pick to draft one of the Javons. I believe it was Kinlaw, if I remember correctly.
Probably Kinlaw because yeah, like I said, like Hargrave was on the Eagles, so yeah. But anyway,
Okay,
I mean yeah,
now let's move on to the real fun here.
the
Let's talk
line.
about linebackers.
Ooh man,
All right. So of course there's or I mean I'm looking
Fred
at the
Warner,
Niners. Yeah,
Greenlaw.
I'm looking at the Niners official depth chart right now. Like they're not
Yeah,
positioning things by like OLB or ILB or MLB. Like, and the Chiefs just have everyone labeled by LB. So of course we can't like do like a metal linebacker versus metal linebacker or whatever. Although it's
I'm on the
clear and obvious.
ESPN one, so I mean we could, but
Oh,
I was just gonna
oh,
go.
I was on the official websites for both teams, but it's like
Oh, okay.
I mean,
Yeah,
obviously we know Fred Warner's the middle linebacker for the Chiefs, but let's just
right.
compare the linebacking core.
Yeah,
So let's see.
that's what I was thinking too.
Let's see. So there's Oren Burks, some
Right.
guy named Fred Warner, and some guy named Dre Greenlaw. We're just talking about the top three starters right here
Yeah,
versus Willie Gay, Nick Bolton, and Leo Chenal. I mean,
and Tranquil.
on paper, the 49ers win this. Like on paper. But
Right.
Nick Bolton, since coming back from was it a broken wrist surgery, dislocated wrist surgery, one of those two, he's been a beast. Willie Gay has been like I don't believe he played last week. Like if you listen to like Tony's commentary during the game, he's being used mainly as a spy on Josh Allen uh, during the Bills game, and like he was missed during Lamar Jackson. So I believe Tranquil took his place in the
Yeah.
spy role. But
Mhm.
Willie Gay, he's another dynamic playmaker. But still, I mean, come on. I'm trying not to show personal bias, but I think Fred Warner is better than all three of those linebackers starting for the Chiefs.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean,
And
yeah,
Dre Greenlaw, like he's better than two of them. No, he's better than one of them for sure. Um, I think he's better than Willie Gay as well. As for Nick Bolton, I think I'd probably give the edge to Bolton on that one. But
right.
overall, like I still think the Chiefs have the better linebackers. That's just me. Now, as for the corners, we
So you
could
think
argue.
like the Chiefs have the better linebackers?
No. I'm saying the 49ers have the better linebackers.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, because yeah,
Yeah.
Greenlaw and Warner. I mean, yeah, the Chiefs have a good group too, but I
But,
feel like it's
but
not quite to that level
no,
though.
I think this next part right here, this is the weakest part of the 49ers defense and arguably
49.
the strongest part
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
the Chiefs defense.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
49ers
I agree.
the 49ers cornerbacks have been quite susceptible, especially in the playoffs this entire season. I mean, Charvarius Ward, this is going to be a revenge game for him.
Mhm.
He was the starting cornerback for the Chiefs a couple times in the Super Bowl. Last time I believe he was with the Chiefs was after the Bucks Chiefs Super Bowl down in Tampa Bay, and then he went to the 49ers if I remember correctly.
Right.
Um, and you know, so there's that, and then there's Leonard.
Mhm.
Lenore. I don't really know how to pronounce his name, but they have depth pieces like Samuel Womack III, like he's behind Ward, and of course Andrew Thomas, Daryl Letter Jr. Uh,
Yeah.
I can't beat around the bushes. Like even though I hate the Chiefs, it's like it's clear and obvious to me the Chiefs have way better corners
Oh
that can
yeah,
especially
Jerry Sneed,
that can be
McDuffie,
trusted.
excellent. Yeah. Mhm.
Jerry Sneed was arguably the best cornerback in all of the playoffs, and yes,
Oh
this includes Jalen Ramsey being in the playoffs for 6 seconds.
yeah.
Um, and of course, Trent McDuffie on the opposite side of him, he's no slouch.
Oh yeah. They're
Like
both
he's
yeah
no.
very good.
Let's see, I remember Trent McDuffie's name being called because um, we traded down our pick for the Chiefs to um, we drafted Cole Strange. They traded up to I believe we had the 22nd at the time or 21st. They picked Trent McDuffie, and he's yeah. This would be his second year in the league, I think. He's really like he's been something. Like he's really been stepping up his game week by week. So without a doubt, I give
Yeah,
the
I
corners the edge to the Chiefs. Like to me, it's
yeah.
not a question.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's a question. I mean, yeah, both McDuffie, I mean, he's been like all over the field. I mean, forced fumbles. I mean, you even has a few sacks, and then of course, like L'Jarius Sneed, probably one of the best all season. I mean, like just look at the play against Baltimore where he punched out the football to win the
No,
game. I mean,
no,
he's
that's some very smart football. Like,
yeah, mhm,
forget having like a physical corner as well. You need a smart corner too, and you know, I guarantee I guarantee you, Bill Belichick was definitely watching this at the screen. He was definitely clapping and he's like going like, "Nice play, nice play." I guarantee you, because
yeah.
if
And
you've
his
ever seen
ball
if you've
striking
ever seen a
as
Belichick
well
defense, he teaches everyone. He teaches every player, to be physical with the ball, not necessarily with the player. Like
with the
I
ball.
mean, I remember watching the Rams Super Bowl a couple years ago. Not the Bengals, when we played them, and
Hmm,
like you could see, we were getting all over the Rams receivers. Like we were not only were we pressing on them, but we were also pressing the ball out. Like Patrick Chung made very nice plays.
mhm,
I miss Patrick Chung. Like
yeah,
he made some damn nice plays. Kyle Van Noy, he knew how to level Tyler Higbee, then still rush Jared Goff into pressure. So yeah, they're putting a lot of pressure on the ball. That's what Jerry Sneed, like that's what guys like Jerry Sneed does. That's what so that's some really smart football. So I give the edge to the court. No, not even the edge. They just have the pure advantage. So
oh yeah,
I
not
give
even the
that to Kansas City.
yeah. And then I guess that goes on. That gets us to our last position on the defense. I guess still
The
special.
safeties.
Yeah, safeties.
See, the Niners definitely have some good names here, like Deshaun Gibson and
Yeah,
Jair Brown,
yeah, very good.
and they even have a depth piece, Logan Ryan. Shout
Yeah,
out,
former
former
Scarlet.
Patriot.
And Scar,
Former,
yeah, and Patriot, and he was on the Giants. He was all over the place, but definitely known for
he,
that New England, Rutgers to New England pipeline. One of
he also
those
played with the
defensive
Buccaneers.
backs.
He also played with Tom Brady last year on the Buccaneers.
Right? Yeah, he did, and former Titan too. Yeah, he's kind of been all over the league, but yeah, he did. He was on the Bucks with Tom Brady.
Yeah,
So now
George
he joined the.
Odom.
Wait, what?
No, George Odom. I forgot to highlight him as a depth piece.
Yeah, he
Now,
is. Yeah.
now, funny thing is, Mike Edwards was also another former Buccaneer, and he was if I remember correctly, he started the game against the Chiefs, and he had a good showing in the game as well. Now Mike Edwards is one of the leading safeties for the Chiefs, alongside Justin Reed, and then to back them up, they got Chamari Connor and Deion Bush, respectively.
Right. Dan
I
Bush
think
had that
st-
interception.
I,
Right.
I think st- I think
Baltimore.
still here I have to give the edge to Kansas City. I mean, because
Yeah,
listen,
Justin Reed's very good. So is Mike
Justin Reed
Edwards.
and Mike Edwards. I mean, the best safety on the Niners is Deshaun Gibson Sr.
Right.
But like is he better than Justin Reed? In my opinion, no. Is he better than Mike Edwards? Maybe. I don't know. So from that standpoint, I have to go with Kansas City on the safeties.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like the Chiefs definitely I think do have the better safety. So it's interesting because like I guess even though the Chiefs with Chris Jones and they Carl Loftus, I still feel like the Niners definitely have the better pass rush, defensive line, linebackers, but then the Chiefs probably have the better secondary. So well not probably. I mean we just did the whole calculations, but yeah, that's interesting. So the Niners have probably the better front seven. I guess the Chiefs probably have the best better
But
secondary.
I
We'll see
I
how it
think
shakes.
I think when it comes to the juggernaut of these two offenses, um, you could argue that the back four is a lot more important than the front seven.
That's true, yeah.
So I mean,
Especially, yeah, with these passing I feel like both teams are probably better with the pass defense and weaker with the run defense, which could, play a big role in the way this game goes, especially with, both teams are probably not gonna be afraid to run the ball, Pacheco, McCaffrey, and so many of the other weapons. But I
yeah.
mean, yeah,
Listen,
those
here's the
secondaries are
thing.
gonna be important against the pass as well.
Like Andy Reid hasn't been afraid ever since ever since he was fired from the Eagles. Like ever since he was fired from Philadelphia, there's been a
Mhm.
huge coaching change within. first thing is he actually understands clock management this time. That's a pretty darn big coaching change right there. You know what? Maybe we'll evaluate the coaches after
I
this.
was thinking we should do that too. Yeah.
Yeah, but let's go through the last of the positions first.
Special
So
teams.
on special teams, can't forget them.
Yep.
Punters, Mitch Wisnowski and Tommy
Versus-
Townsend. Both are very good punters. I mean, Townsend obviously has more experience in these moments, but Mitch
Yeah.
Wisnowski, from what I've seen, like he's a little bit more reliable in getting the ball deeper in terms of pinning the opposing team back behind their own 20s and further. So
I
I
could
give
see that on the
so
stats
I give the edge to punter.
for the
To
Niners.
for the Niners, without a question, kicker Harrison Butker versus Jake Moody. I mean, come on,
That's the
Harrison
Chiefs.
Butker.
Yeah.
Butker wins
So
that matchup all day,
Yeah.
every day.
Moody's missed some kicks too. Like, don't forget about that. That could be absolutely huge if he missed one in the
Yeah,
Super
but
Bowl.
the Green Bay game, like that was during this rare thing called rain in California,
Yeah.
and of course
Yeah, it's
California.
gonna be indoors, so like it should be in Vegas, in an indoor stadium, so it should be.
I don't know. I kind of miss out.
Conditions. Yeah.
I kind of like the outdoor feel, like because with a dome, like I mean, sure, like it's a little bit more of an even playing game. But come on, football is played outdoors. Like
Yeah.
you don't play football in a factory. You play it on the grass. You play when the grass is still wet. You play when
Exactly.
when there's rain about to come. So like I kind of miss that aesthetic. Like, the
Yeah.
last time, I mean, of course, football fans aren't going to agree because the last time we've seen a sloppy Super Bowl in terms of weather, we've seen a lot of sloppy Super Bowls in terms of defense, and in terms of offense, and in terms of blowouts. But the last time we've seen a sloppy Super Bowl was Colts Bears Super Bowl 41,
Oh.
where Prince had the greatest halftime show ever because that game was played in the rain, like the
Oh
actual rain from start to finish.
yeah, Purple Rain.
We haven't really seen a game like that, like ever since.
True.
What
Yeah,
am I
usually. Yeah.
am I really that old? Was it like 17 years ago? Apparently.
Oh, that's
Wait,
interesting. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, typically they try to keep the Super Bowl either in like, nice climate or, we've seen it in even when it was like Minnesota, it was in inside. So I mean, they try to do that. There was one at MetLife with Seahawks Broncos,
yeah.
and I think
Well, that one sucked.
yeah, that was a bad
I
game. It
mean,
was
was it?
ugly.
I mean, the kickoff there was like was like around the 40s, I think.
Yeah, that was probably the last bad weather game in the Super Bowl. Just kind of
But
cold,
no,
but
but
yeah,
I mean, that's just cold weather. Bad weather is like it's like raining or it won't stop
yeah.
snowing or something
Well,
like
you don't
that.
want to have that like in the Super Bowl, though. You know what I
I mean,
mean? Like,
listen.
maybe the
A Super
AFC
Bowl.
or NFC Championship one year,
Yeah,
but
but like imagine if we had a Super Bowl played on the Steelers grass. That
ooh,
would suck.
yeah,
All right. Anyways, getting back to topic.
right.
Let's see, punt returner Ray McLeod versus
Richie
Kadarius Toney.
Johnson.
Well,
Oh,
here's the thing. Do we
yeah.
assume Kadarius Toney is actually competent in what he does? Do
Oh,
we?
we saw it last year in the Super Bowl, so I mean,
Okay. All right. Then let's
potentially.
assume that. Okay. Well, here's the thing. Like Kadarius Toney is like streaky. Ray McLeod is a little bit more dependable.
Yeah,
So, but
I'd still take the reliability. I feel like you know what I
yeah,
mean.
so I'd give it to McLeod on that one, and
Yeah,
he's also the kick returner. Well, the first kick returner for the 49ers. As for
right.
Richie, and then Richie James is the kick returner number
Yeah,
one for the Chiefs. I think I'll go split
right.
because
Yeah.
I think I'll go split on this one.
Okay. So you basically like Richie James, and then in kick return
McLeod
and
on kick returners. I'd split them.
McLeod kick return and Richie James on punt return.
No, I'm saying both for kick return. I'd split on that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty even. I mean, they both could be like dangerous, but at the same time, like I don't know. Yeah, I mean, also both kind of around the same reliability. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like either of these guys are probably equally likely to break one,
Yeah,
big one.
yeah.
But
And of
yeah,
course, we
I'd say
and of
split.
course we can't forget the beloved long slappers,
Oh,
the long snappers.
yep.
So let's see, um,
I don't even know
let's see,
these guys, man.
Tabor Pepper versus
James
James
Winchester.
Winchester.
How do you even like measure this? Like,
Well, which long snapper sucks the least? I
yeah.
haven't seen both of them suck in the playoffs, so I'm calling a tie.
Oh, I think that's
I
pretty
mean,
accurate.
listen. Like I said, I grew up a Patriots fan. I still am, obviously. So, Belichick emphasized, all three phases of the game. We've
Right.
seen this repeatedly. Like, our long snapper for reference right now is Joe Cardona, number
Yeah, he's done
49.
that for a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, he's been very reliable, and he's
Mhm.
been there for a reason. It's because he understands the value of special teams. And
Yep.
like our boy Matthew Slater, number
Oh
18,
yeah. Every year in the Pro Bowl.
he's
Yeah.
he's one of the best special teamers I've ever seen. So like I grew up accustomed to like understanding how important special teams are.
Yeah.
So
Being a
I
Rutgers fan, like I've seen that too. There's such an emphasis on special teams, like getting blocked punts and kicks, and the field goal and the punting game. Obviously, of course,
yeah.
but yeah, that's very important, and
So
or
like I
you're
said,
used to that.
because of how I was watching football, because Bill Belichick was right there
Right.
orchestrating everything. I grew up understanding seeing the value of how special teams.
It could really play a huge role in the game. If your side is a really good special teams, the other side isn't. That could be the
or
difference
or
between a
in
touchdown and
or in
not
this case,
something like that.
a Super Bowl like this where we could see like a potential similar thing of last year where it's pretty much all guns firing.
Yeah,
It could just
it
be
could come
like
down to who makes the kick, or or
now
who's
it could even
going
come down to
touchdown.
who misses the field goal. So
Exactly. That's why special teams is so important. It's like those, especially the
no,
field goal game, the punting
no.
game can absolutely be
Listen,
huge.
listen,
You
there are a
know,
couple there are a couple groups in football that never get enough love when they win, but always take all the heat when they lose. It's two groups: the offensive line and
yeah,
special teams.
yeah, agree.
I mean,
Yeah,
the defensive line gets far more recognition than the offensive line, and I can
yeah,
see why. But
yeah, because they make big
the
plays.
offensive line is not appreciated enough, in my opinion, and special teams is not appreciated enough when the teams win. But they get
All the blame.
they get all the wrath of hell coming their way when they lose. So,
Yeah, yeah.
both
hmm
so players on both players on any lines of those positions, you could argue they are the ones under the most pressure. I mean, we saw it a couple of weeks ago. You think Tyler Bass was getting all the heat? Of course he was, but no one's blaming the fact that Josh Allen, completely whiffed on those end zone opportunities, or why he didn't take the checkdowns and then keep killing the clock and then keep
That's
getting those first downs. Or no one's giving Stephon Diggs any heat for forgetting how to catch a damn
oh
football.
my goodness. Yeah, that's
It's
true. Yeah.
no, people are blaming wide right on Scott Norwood and Tyler Bass, and of course they should get their fair blame. I'm not saying that they shouldn't, but
Right.
but that Super Bowl against the Giants, they were completely shut down. Like they were put out of their element. Bill Belichick and Bill Parcells, they made a complete mockery out of the K gun offense with Marv Levy, Jen Kelly, Andre Reed, Thurman Thomas. That entire offense, that is one of the greatest offenses ever. But it's not talked about because that offense has failed to do this thing called producing when it matters.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, both of those possession groups, I think. Yeah, they definitely. It's like if everything goes well, then the attention will be on the quarterback and the
Yeah,
skill players, and then if things go
yeah,
bad, it's kind of like you were supposed to make the kick, like why didn't you? Or you're supposed to block, and now
listen,
Mahomes has to throw crazy balls while he's falling in into the end zone. The Chiefs
yeah.
still can't win the big
Like I
game.
said,
It's
listen,
like that. It
yeah,
is.
I have no doubt Scott Norwood would have a statue outside of Ralph Wilson Stadium, the old Bill Stadium, I guess, or what is it now, Orchard Park, whatever the Bill Stadium is right now. No doubt he'd have a statue outside of himself right there if he made the kick. No doubt. everyone would have completely forgotten how
That's
the Bills.
that's true.
Everyone would have completely forgotten how the Bills' offense stalled out repeatedly, and their defense was the one who had their backs carrying the offense right now. It's in a way, it's almost reminiscent of the Chiefs right now, but except we've seen the Chiefs know how to do this thing called offense when it matters. We've
It's
seen
true.
that.
Yeah, they've shown up when they've needed to,
Yeah.
assisted by their defense, but they have come up with a lot of big plays and they figured it out at the right time. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, the coaches, I feel like that'd be a nice little way to end this roster breakdown here. And then
Well,
so we have it's like a really good coaching matchup. We got Kyle Shanahan from the Niners and Andy Reid from the Chiefs. That's a
here's the
tough
thing.
one, but I mean,
I don't give it a tough one for one reason. Because Andy Reid has learned his lesson from Philadelphia, and he's drastically. I mean, he's had his moments where you question like, what the hell is he doing?
mhm,
But he's learned from this. Like we've never seen Kyle Shanahan learn
yeah, I
from
agree.
his mistakes. We've seen Andy Reid learn from it, and it comes down to two words: clock management. Kyle Shanahan has. I mean, again, Patriots fan here, trying to be as unbiased as I possibly can.
Yeah,
If Kyle Shanahan, like you noticed that there's a couple times during the Super Bowl, the Falcons Patriots Super Bowl, the greatest
right.
Super Bowl of all time, the
Yeah,
greatest football match ever played.
yeah.
Um,
For you
there's a
guys, I mean, it was a really good comeback. Yeah.
yeah. Uh, let's see, Kyle Shanahan, like even when they had like a three possession lead on us,
Hmm.
he was
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
he was still calling plays when the play clock was like what wasn't even close to 1 or 2 seconds left. Like he's still calling plays when there's like 8 or 9 seconds or something like that. Then the offense got extremely passive and really conservative, and even you could argue like their reliance on aggressiveness is what cost them. So
Yeah.
Kyle Shanahan
We should have
hasn't really learned how to yeah, he
surrendered.
hasn't really learned how to mitigate that since. Like um, I think your phone's ringing. But yeah, so Kyle Shanahan hasn't really learned like this whole clock management thing yet. Where Andy Reid, since like his failures with Philadelphia, he's really improved on clock management, and we especially saw after last year, like even on an extremely questionable holding call in the Super Bowl on James Bradbury, like and if you watch the entire game, they're playing physical all up until that moment where the refs decided to give the Chiefs that first down, which they didn't deserve. But in spite of that, you still saw Andy Reid. He was bleeding that clock dry. He
Mm-hmm.
was bleeding it dry.
Yeah.
Like, and it's not just last year either. Like, he's drastically improved ever since he lost to us in the AFC Championship game when we were on the road back in 2019. He's he's consistently improved his clock management. He seems to have a lot more trust in his offense. I mean, obviously, I'd be tempted to. I think trusting Patrick Mahomes in critical situations is a pretty good idea. But so, without a doubt, to me, I mean, both are offensive geniuses.
Yeah.
No doubt. There's no doubt about that. They both know how to scheme. They both know how to design plays. They both know how to do RPOs correctly and all these things. But without a doubt, because the Super Bowl ultimately comes down to how well you can manage a clock, and how well you can manage your offense and defense in pressurized times. Without a doubt, I give the coaching battle to Andy Reid.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. And I guess another thing is like, I've seen Andy Reid like in the biggest of moments. Like he's won two Super Bowls with the Chiefs and Shanahan, obviously the big collapse and against the Falcons and then a few years later against the Chiefs.
Wait. Yeah,
Sure.
I that completely slipped my mind. The fourth quarter collapse against the Chiefs
Yeah.
4 years ago. The Niners had a 10 point lead, like 8 minutes left to go. They just got the second interception on Patrick Mahomes. The game looked pretty over. And then Kyle Shanahan completely forgot how to call offense, completely forgot how to call defense. The Chiefs scored three straight touchdowns and three straight possessions, and he screws up his first attempt at a Super Bowl championship as a head coach. Now
Exactly.
let's see if Kyle Shanahan knows how to redeem himself, or if he makes a complete fool out of himself once again. I hope it's the former.
Yeah, I mean it's just like at some point, you gotta take advantage of when you have Well, I mean, I still calculate who has a more talented roster. I mean, I'd like to say just on looking at it, like I'd probably give it to the Niners. But I mean, I guess it's kind of like until proven otherwise. Kind of like like Michigan football. It's kind of like, oh yeah, but they can't win the big game though. They can't win a playoff game, but they're good. But like it's kind of like the same thing with Shanahan. Like yeah, he's an offensive genius and all, but like it's kind of like Reed's proved it. He's shown better clock management skills. He's shown the ability to win the big game. This year the Niners definitely have more talent. Like it's kind of like if this flips and Shanahan has a great game, then I mean I don't know. Even then, like you still can't take away from Reed. But then I feel like this is
Listen,
more
great.
like a discussion
Listen,
to like prove until proven
listen, great.
otherwise. Definitely Andrew Reed now.
Listen, great game or not, even if you win this game 2-0 or 99-98, it really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, as a head coach,
He's a win.
get the
Yeah.
damn W.
Super Bowl's a Super Bowl. You know what I mean? So yeah. All right. Well, I guess I'll go Chiefs. I think we're both in agreement there.
Oh hell no.
I mean, I meant for the coach. Like, I mean,
Oh, okay.
oh,
Yeah, I
well,
was gonna say you weren't speaking for me on that one.
okay, all right. Well, game picks. I don't know. You want to go first then?
I got Niners by 6.
Niners by 6. Okay. Oh man, I actually do like. I do have the Chiefs. I've thought about this, and like, here's why. Like, I don't know. Just the way the Niners have been in the playoffs, and I know it looks good that they came back and all, and like that could really help them. At the same time, like, it's one thing to do it against the Packers and the Lions, but
But
against the
hey,
Chiefs, it's going to be
you forget the Lions had a top 5 scoring offense in the league. The Chiefs did not have a top 5 scoring offense this entire season,
that's
and
true.
they still had to fight back against 3 possessions
Three
at
possessions.
home in the second half. Listen, you could say home field advantage. You can cry home field advantage all you want, but 3 possessions down is still 3
Not easy.
possessions down,
It's not
and the
easy.
Niners did that job.
Yeah, no. Yeah, you're right. I don't know.
Whereas,
It's hard for
whereas
me to
if
pick against like
whereas if
you know.
whereas if memory serves, the Chiefs have rarely trailed in the playoffs this entire time. They've of course trailed pretty much only against Buffalo,
Right.
but even then they're still matching possession after possession with Buffalo.
Yeah,
So
they were.
it's not
They were.
like you can really say trailing for more than like I don't know 10 seconds at a time because apparently that's how fast it takes for the Chiefs to score points.
It's true. Yeah.
That's did you do a final tally and see who has the overall like
Yeah, why don't we do that
who's
now
more
that
stacked?
yeah, let me see. Let me do that. And okay, so quarterback Chiefs, running back Niners, wide receiver Niners, tight end, I guess we're going with the split. I don't know. I still think it's the Chiefs, but we'll see how the rest shakes out. I still feel like the Niners are gonna overall win it. Offensive line, it's a split.
That was a split.
Yeah, then left defensive end. I guess the defensive line we're giving to the Niners too. Um,
Linebackers, we said
linebacker Niners.
Niners.
Yeah, a cornerback Chiefs, safety Chiefs, punter Niners, kicker Chiefs. The returning is a split, long snapping is a split, and the coaches, the Chiefs. So.
What's the tally?
Um,
Don't count the splits at first. Just count the pure winners.
Okay, so quarterback. So Chiefs have quarterback. They have. I don't know. Should we say tight end, or you want to like make that split?
Well, it's your podcast, so
Oh,
apparently
man.
you're gonna go with Kelsey on tight end,
Yeah. I mean, I have to.
even though he doesn't deserve it.
All right. Okay. So then offensive line. Where it's a split. D lines. The Niners. Cornerback and safety is the next Chiefs category. And then the kicking and the coaching. So that gives us one. This is harder than I thought it would be. 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have 6. I guess including the tight ends at 6. So 6 outright for the Chiefs here, and then the Niners. We have the running back. We have the wide receivers. We have who else?
Defensive ends. Well,
Defensive
the defensive
line
line,
altogether. Linebackers.
linebackers.
punter, and that's it. Yeah. So we're, I guess coach. Are we gonna include coach in this too, or like?
Yes,
Okay.
the coach is part of the team.
Well, yeah. All right. So then I have, it's 6-5.
How many
But I
splits we
guess,
got?
yeah. Well, splits are not gonna count either way. But
No, I'm asking how many do we have?
oh, we have the offensive line and the returning game and the long snapper. So that's 3 splits. So we have six for the Chiefs, 5 Niners, and um 3 splits. But then the Chiefs also includes the tight end and the coach. And then, so like, I guess you could say the Chiefs, but like I'd probably like, I
A
don't
lot
know.
more. I mean, to be honest, it was a lot more evenly split than I thought it'd be.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be like all Niners, but so the Chiefs got quarterback, tight end, in my opinion, quarterback,
Yeah,
safety, kicker,
well,
and
that's why it's your opinion.
head coach. And so like, if you take out the coach, like it would actually be 5-5, like, but then because then the Niners have running back, receiver, D line, linebackers, and punter, and then the splits are line, um, the return game, and then the long snapper. So yeah, it's actually very even. Like this is actually, yeah, it kind of surprised me a little bit. I thought it was going to be very Niners heavy. It actually ended up being pretty much almost a perfect split, depending on how you want to slice
Well,
the
yeah,
tight end, the coach, and all of that kind of stuff.
like we
But
said, some of the splits could go either way. I mean, like I could easily, I could have easily given the edge. I could have easily given the clean sweep to the Niners on the defensive end. I mean, the defensive line. I could have easily
could
done
have,
that, but I still
yeah,
think, I'd give it to Chris Jones over both the Javons, just given like the experience in the postseason,
that's true. That's a big factor. Yeah.
and the
Yeah,
fact that this is his last season on this contract. So Chris Jones might be tempted to get like 2 sacks or something.
yeah. Kind of show like why he deserves a new contract, I guess. If he hasn't already proved that. Yeah, but a very, very evenly matched game rosters here. I mean, yeah, I mean, if we take out the coach, it'd actually be 5-5, and I was not quite expecting that.
To be honest, I'm still in favor of including the coach either way.
All right. Yeah, so I mean, I guess if we have it like this, like the Chiefs even have like the advantage if we're keeping them, the tight end and the coach and the kicker. But I mean, those are all still very important positions, and yeah, so I mean, I think it's a very even matchup. I don't know. As for the actual game, I still have the Chiefs winning. I don't know. I just have a hard time. Like, I just feel like the Chiefs are gonna get out to the lead, and then because of that, they're gonna play better on defense. They're probably gonna send blitzes. Niners are gonna have a hard time with that. And like, if the Niners like came out guns blazing in the first 2 playoff games, like, my opinion might be different, but it's just like
Well,
in the
I
playoffs, I've
mean,
seen the
I mean,
Chiefs like show up, and the
even
Niners like halfway, like show
I
up
mean,
in the second
even
half.
def- even
You know,
defensive coordinator, I still give the edge to Spagnuolo over Steve
like no
Wilkes.
longer. Yeah, and then what about offensive coordinator?
Well, that's not going to matter between these two because it's going to be a pure shootout. The defense is going to be
That's
what
true.
matters in this game.
Yeah, which I think that could actually benefit the Chiefs too if both of these offenses are going. But I'll say this: like, if the Niners show up from the jump and they play really well, they get off to a good lead, and it becomes a shootout, it might be hard for the Chiefs to keep up the way they are this year. Then I think the Niners probably get it. But if the game kind of goes in the Chiefs, like, swings towards the Chiefs' advantage, they get off to a big lead or even a small one. Like, I feel like they can hold off if it's like possession by possession, or if the Chiefs are playing with the lead. I think they'll be able to hang in there. I guess get the Niners in obvious passing situations, blitz, make it hard for them to score. Meanwhile, their game offensive game plan is still, I think, going to be running. Even with the Niners D line, they'll either get it done through the air or on the ground. With Pacheco, Rice, Kelsey, I think those are going to be the guys to look out for. Maybe even MBS a little bit, but I would say like they found their reliable playmakers in Pacheco, Rice, and Kelsey, and that defense is going to be on fire. So yeah, anyway, I'm gonna go Chiefs, but I think it's gonna be a close game. I'm gonna go like 27-24 Chiefs, and then like, do you have like a score prediction?
I'll take. I'll try and go with something a little bit more unusual. I'll take a 25-19 49ers.
Ooh, I like that. I like that score line. That's not one you usually see, but
I mean, like I said, like
it happens.
I'm taking the Niners on a 6. But given all the offensive firepower on both teams, I think you know this game it's gonna be won on the defense.
I feel like whichever defense like steps up more, that could be the difference maker
I
for
mean, that's
sure.
what happened. That's what happened last year. The Chiefs defense stepped up. The Chiefs defense stepped up a lot more. So they took it.
Yeah, that was a very high scoring, game, and
I
then
would I would have liked to see some actual defense though, like because that's a bit embarrassing. I mean, we all
yeah,
say
38
defense.
to 35, and
Well,
then the
here's the
biggest
thing.
play
Here's the
was
thing.
the defensive holding there. Yeah.
No, we all say defense wins championships, and that's 100% true. But of
Right.
course, you know, majority, like pretty much all football fans outside of us a few years ago, we're all crying about the most boring Super Bowl of all time, quote
Oh, the
unquote.
13 to
When
3.
when yeah, when we murdered the Rams 13-3 with our amazing defense, fans around the world were just like crying about how boring it is to just watch defense dominate. And then everyone here is just suddenly, last year is just like, oh my god, offense, offense, offense. Come on, there's another side to football, defense. Like, I mean, of course, like Nick Sirianni had those stupid play calls, and the Chiefs picked up that fumble. Like, so
Oh
I guess
yeah,
there's
well, that's
apparently there
defense.
was enough. Apparently, there was enough defense for the entire game for both teams. Apparently,
Yeah, they kind of did that, and they called it a day. But I mean, yeah, that's kind of funny that like even in a game like that where it's so offensive, such a high scoring offensive game. I mean that the Jalen Hurts, fumble on the return for touchdown. That swayed, that if that didn't happen, good chance the Eagles win. So like defense, even in those types of games, the penalty. I
or
mean, the defense
or
plays like a huge role in in,
or
in,
if
in
Nick
the game.
Sirianni wasn't a goddamn idiot.
Yeah, that too. One of the best parts about the whole Eagles collapse is that even Eagles fans like hate him now. So I mean, it's actually pretty funny. But
Haven't you?
yeah,
Listen. I don't know if you apparently haven't been alive long enough as a Giants fan, for you. But haven't you realized Eagles fans they love everyone in like year 1, year 2, and they eventually start hating everyone by year 3. Look at it.
that's
They
true.
they love Terrell Owens. They love Donovan McNabb. They loved Andy Reid. They love Nick Sirianni. They love Jalen Hurts. What do all 5 of these men have in common right now? Terrell Owens hated. Well, actually, he's probably the most beloved out of the 5 of them right now. Don McNabb hated. Andy Reid
Yeah,
especially
I
hated
think it's
because
kind of
not
healed itself now.
no
But like,
no Andy Reid is definitely hated because of last year.
well, yeah, there we go. Yeah,
Nick Sirianni definitely hated right now.
that's understatement.
Jalen
Yeah,
Hurts
I'd
some
say
hatred.
somewhat. Yeah, because of his underwhelming
Yeah,
performances as
like I
of
said,
late and
Terrell Owens is probably the most
Instagram
beloved
play.
out of Terrell Owens is probably the most beloved out of those 5 right now.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I mean, time probably did its thing with that one, but yeah, I guess yeah, before we sign off, I mean, let's. It kind of reminds me, there's been some other NFL news, like the Eagles are going to host their a game in Brazil,
Brazil,
Brazil on Friday night on week 1 of the season, so we could have,
we're sorry, Brazil. We're sorry, Brazil, that you have to watch this trash.
exactly. You're gonna
But
have to just push the Eagles,
last season we subjected Germany to watch us and the Colts play. We're
yeah,
sorry,
at least they
Germany.
did Chiefs Dolphins, but yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that'll be a good first weekend. We'll have Thursday night, Chiefs or Niners hosting someone, and then the Eagles out in Brazil. Other NFL news. I saw that Steve Belichick's going to be coaching in
The
Washington as the
Huskies.
defensive coordinator. Yeah, the Washington Huskies. There's been a lot of like head coach stuff. Dan Quinn now in the Commanders. I think they picked like their
And
defensive coordinator.
apparently Eric Bieniemy is not even going to return to the offensive coordinator for Washington, which is
Yeah, I
something
saw
I
that
really
too.
question.
Yeah.
And the Cowboys are hiring, or no, not hiring. They're interviewing Ron Rivera for the defensive coordinator role.
Are
I
they
just have
really?
one question. I mean, I assume you don't have any problems, but what is Jerry Jones doing? Like Ron Rivera, did you see
Ron,
how
he
trash?
literally just
Did you
got
see?
fired from Washington. I mean, like,
Did you see how trash Washington's defense was the entire season last year? They traded away Montez Sweat and Chase Young, and they just
yeah,
let the defense die.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know
And
what the
and,
Cowboys are doing.
and Emmanuel Forbes is terrible.
Mhm. Yeah, I think yeah. Deontay Banks was like all over that when they beat Washington twice. It's like you picked him over me. But speaking of the
Arnav,
Giants, they just
Ar-
hired Shane Bowen, former Titans defensive coordinator, I think, as their own defensive coordinator to replace a Wink Martindale. So I mean, yeah, I mean, based on what I've seen, I think he
speaking
has a
of
better
defensive
record,
coordinator, yeah, and
less
speaking of
blitzing.
defensive coordinators, speaking of defensive coordinators, this is old news now. Raheem Morris is now the coach of the Falcons. Um,
Falcons, yeah,
I don't know
right.
about this move. I don't know if that'll turn out well because, Raheem Morris, I mean, he's been a head coach in the past before, and he's had a losing record. But he's been good as a coordinator. Like he's been good on the defensive coordinating side of things. But in terms of the overall coaching gig, like head coaching, I don't know. And also, what's he gonna do? Because if the Falcons want to do anything, they got to get rid of Desmond Ritter. He just sucks at quarterback. So it begs to see what the Falcons are gonna do.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, I guess that pretty much I think covers everything. Oh, by the way, did you see the Eli Manning video where he like roasted Tom Brady in the rap
What?
challenge?
No, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Oh, you don't? Okay, well, basically, like, well, it wasn't him versus Brady. It was like him versus some other guy, and then it was at the Pro Bowl, and then Eli has
You
like this.
actually you actually watch that junk? What's wrong with you?
No, I didn't watch the Pro Bowl. I just saw the clip on all over social media. I thought you saw it. Like it was pretty
No,
like
I didn't
widespread.
see anything.
Anyway, all he said is like kind of like it wasn't even like really like a rap, but it was kind of just like he's like, I'm Eli Manning. I'm nice. Tom Brady's the GOAT. Oh, with like kind of like a question mark, and then he's like, "Psych, I beat him twice," and then everyone's like, "Oh," and then like they made like a whole funny big deal
That,
about it, and
that's
then
just
I
so
watched the
funny.
whole video, and then the other guy was also like really cringy, but like I guess apparently they said he was like better, so like he won the rap battle. It wasn't even a rap battle; it was just like them
Yeah,
just
the
like
only
taking
thing
stupid shots at each other.
from what you're saying, the only thing more corny than that is a cornfield in Iowa.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Honestly, the Pro Bowl though, I didn't think was. I kind of like the flag football format because I feel
Again,
like
you
compared
actually
to
watch that junk?
I watched the highlights. I didn't watch the actual Pro.
Why? Why?
I
Watching
don't know.
paint dry is far more
Fun to
enjoyable.
see.
This
It's
entire All Star weekend, you cannot pay me any money to watch the NBA All Star game, the MLB All Star
NBA.
game,
I actually like
the
that one.
the NHL All Star game, especially this sorry excuse for All Stars with the Pro Bowl. You cannot pay me
Yeah,
enough money to watch this junk. Uh, listen, I will stick to watching highlights from 50 years ago over the Pro Bowl garbage or All Star garbage of today.
yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. I've always liked NBA All Star Weekend. I kind of like the whole
I don't understand the
arena
appeal of that.
thing. You don't?
No, because first of all, it's a glorified exhibition game.
Yeah,
None
it's
of
just
these
them having
none of
fun.
these players actually care, like for the All Star game.
Yeah,
I want to watch a game where people care, not where people pretend to play basketball and they're just like they put in zero effort and shooting, like and
just
they.
yeah,
I
shooting
mean,
ridiculous.
listen, the NBA today already has zero defense, but
It's
you
true.
know, the All Star game adds
There really
zero.
is zero defense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, it's more like negative infinity defense.
hmm Yeah, it's just them showing off and having a good time. But no, I mean, I guess my whole point with the Pro
I
Bowl is like,
mean, maybe the only thing worth watching for the NBA All Star event is probably the dunk contest. But
oh,
even
the
that's
dunk
been
contest is good.
no, but
But
even
even
that's
that's
been
like gotten
really
way worse like in
yeah,
recent years.
even that's gotten really lame over the past few years.
Yeah, Mac McClung was pretty exciting, but overall, like last few years, it wasn't like the Aaron
Mm,
Gordon versus whoever. That was like that was back that those
versus
were like really good. But
even
since
the
then,
3-point contest sucked. That
Yeah, it's just average. I wonder if this stuff Sabrina thing's gonna bring some more buzz. I feel like it will.
Again, none of this crap matters because only I'll say this right now: only losers will watch, like, will fully commit to watching all these nonsensical All Star events for any sports. Only losers will watch that.
Yeah, that's it's not really like the same as actual like football. Like I mean, I kind of was just like, yeah, it's a Pro Bowl, like whatever. And then there's all these skills competitions. Like I didn't really have any interest in watching those.
Now,
I mean,
come
maybe
on,
later on.
I'd rather watch Pop Warner than watch an NFL Pro Bowl game.
Yeah, like the whatever the passing competition. Like some of them like didn't even do well either. It was just like
Like,
the worst thing. But
who
like I mean,
cares?
yeah, it's just
Uh,
a stupid waste of time to like. It's just to get football fans their fix during the off week between,
No,
you
it's fine.
know,
It's
national
fine.
championship and the Super
Don't
Bowl.
ever play the Pro Bowl again. Just just don't do anything. Just, you know what? Just spend that entire Sunday just putting up classic game highlights. Like like
Watch
put up
old
the
school. Yeah.
yeah, old school football, like the Ice Bowl between the Cowboys and the Packers. I'd watch
Yeah,
that.
watch some real football. But I guess
Exactly.
my point is like I'd rather see competitive flag football than like, the Pro Bowl what it used to be where there was like no defense and it was just like kind of like the NBA where it was just like whatever and people just did what they want. Like that was no fun. Like at least now like it looks pretty like competitive and stuff like, and they're kind of having fun, but like I'd rather see a competitive flag football game, than like nonsensical like Pro Bowl where obviously injury concerns, yeah, but like you don't want to just see a game where they're not even trying. Like you'd rather see a competitive game where everyone could be safe. So I mean, I like the thing. That being said, it's nothing like real football. I'm way more excited, of course, about the Super Bowl as we all are. Yeah, I mean, I think we talked about pretty much everything we needed to. Leading up to the big game, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of hype, a lot of prop bets. I guess Usher's doing halftime. Don't really care too much about that. Honestly, I feel like that's a little bit underwhelming. But
Yeah, I mean,
you
come on. These halftime shows are probably even worse than these stupid All Star events.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
it's not great.
in my opinion, the last good halftime show we've seen was probably Katy Perry against the Patriots Seahawks. That was probably the last good halftime show I've seen.
That was pretty good. That was a while ago. Honestly, like I kind of, I mean, I yeah,
I'm also a sucker for. I mean, maybe it's because I like The Weeknd a lot. Like, I liked his
I
halftime
do.
show.
Me
But
too.
the only thing that annoyed me was that Daft Punk wasn't featured in like a couple of those songs he did with The Weeknd. That was the only thing that annoyed me. But other than that, like, to me, I haven't seen a truly good halftime show since Katy Perry. But like the rest of football fans, I could give I could care less about the halftime show because all I care about is the game.
Yeah,
I
me
don't
too. I'm gonna
I
be
don't
locked.
care.
I'm gonna be locked in on the actual football, and I'm sure, like it'll be fun
No,
to have
I'll use
Super Bowl atmosphere.
I'll use the halftime show to take, like, a piss break because I will not take a piss break during the first two quarters.
No, yeah, no, I'm gonna be locked in on the actual game. Honestly, I like the J Lo Shakira one. I like the Eminem
Oh
and the
god.
whole rap show that they had. I thought that one was cool, but
No, to
because
me
that's
that
the
was underwhelming.
only listen to. But I mean, it could have been better. I forgot what happened last year, but anyway.
Last year was Rihanna, I think.
Oh, that one was like not the greatest. It was all right.
It,
It had some
it
good
was
hits, but
weird.
I mean, yeah, it was kind of weird, honestly. Like I don't know, Usher. Like I'm not really expecting a ton from, but yeah, like I think like you, I'm gonna be locked in on the actual game. Especially
As you should
considering
be.
we spent all this time analyzing it, and it's good. It should be a good matchup. I mean, all things considered, like it might not be the one that people want, but I feel like the game itself. I think these are the two best teams. I think they proved it. Like I said, like even though I mean, the Chiefs have proved it, whether you like it or not. The Niners definitely proved it, and I'm excited to see what happens. Seems like you have the Niners, I have the Chiefs. I think we both think it's going to be a good competitive game. Two good defenses, offenses. Yeah, it should be a good one. So, in the next episode, we'll obviously break down the Super Bowl, which is going to be very exciting, and then we'll spend some more time talking about some other stuff, maybe more about NBA All Star Weekend, or I don't know. We'll figure it out. NBA NBA and NHL as that gets into the second half of the season. Playoff push is heating up. A lot to talk about then. But until then, have a good week. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Enjoy the big game. And we'll see you next time.
Go Niners.